Now, over the last 12 years, India's economy has transitioned from being the fragile five into the world's fourth largest global economy, all under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Yes, we're talking about the last 12 years. Since 2014, India has emerged as the world's fourth largest economy, powered by GST reforms, record FDI inflows and a digital revolution led by UPI. Government data shows GDP tripling since 2014, FDI doubling and UPI crossing 172 billion transactions in 2024. With over 1.5 crore GST taxpayers and a booming startup ecosystem, India's economic engine is firmly in top gear.
India's economic transformation over the 12 years of the Modi government is well documented. India became the world's fourth largest economy in 2025, driven by strong domestic reform and the Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. India's nominal GDP tripled from 106.57 lakh crore rupees in 2014-15 to 331.03 lakh crore rupees in 2024-25. India remains the world's fastest growing major economy with real GDP growth at 6.5%. India is on track to become the third largest economy by 2030 with a GDP of $7.3 trillion.
I've seen people when the country had about 40% of people below the poverty line, and now I can see people only 2 to 3% below the poverty line. The sharp difference that is there, that is emerging across the spectrum, urban areas, rural areas, across the spectrum, I feel very proud that the policies that have been pursued, especially in the last 10-12 years, especially because the focus has been on financial inclusion in the last 12 years, those policies are showing results. It's very, very satisfactory policy performance that people have come out of the poverty line. Very satisfying for a policy maker.
8 years of GST reforms have strengthened India's tax system. Over 1.52 crore active GST registrations were recorded as of July 2025. GST has reduced tax burden, improved transparency, and integrated the domestic market across states. The GST reform of October 2025 helped ease financial compliance for citizens and MSMEs. India's digital public infrastructure is one of the biggest success stories globally. Government data suggests digital transactions grew 9x in volume between FY18 and FY 2024. UPI processed 172 billion transactions in 2024 alone, making it the world's largest real-time payment system.
India is today seen as a very stable partner around the world. And people are rethinking their supply chains, they are rethinking where they would like to invest. So if we can be, not only that we have an environment, but if we can project, which we are doing, an environment which is predictable, which is stable, and which they can rely upon, lot of investment should start flowing into the country. Every crisis can be turned into a great opportunity.
Ministry of Commerce data shows a massive rise in FDI due to liberalized policies and investor-friendly reforms. FDI inflows increased from US dollars 36.05 billion in 2013-14 to US dollars 81.04 billion in FY 2024-25. Over US dollars 748.78 billion FDI has been received between 2014 and 2025. That's a 143% increase over the previous decade. Manufacturing FDI rose 18% in FY 2024-25. Services saw an increase of 19%, software and hardware 16%, trading 8%. India's transformation is driven by entrepreneurship, innovation, and digital public infrastructure. PLI schemes, MSME reforms, and digital infrastructure expansion have strengthened the startup ecosystem.
The question is that how much and how soon what would get replaced by AI and what would get replaced and where it would get redeployed. So we have to, especially in banking and financial services sector, we have to focus on few things. First, how does it benefit the end customer for him to avail a financial services at much cheaper, lower cost? And second, the operating benefit which will come to the financial institution should not become so dominant focus that we forget the human element involved in that.
India's services exports more than doubled from US dollars 158 billion in 2013-14 to US dollars 387 billion in 2024-25, a strong indicator of IT and startup sector growth. Clearly, India's macroeconomic fundamentals and broader digital and innovation push have provided a solid foundation for the Indian economy going forward. Bureau Report, DD India.